Hello and welcome to the Record Club, brought to you by Record Store Day, the official charts and National Album Day, and proudly in association with Bowers and Wilkins. My name is Jess Iszatt. Thank you so much for joining us. We are very excited to say that our guests this evening are Easy Life to talk all about their brilliant new album, Maybe in Another Life. If you are new to the Record Club, we're going to be spending the next half an hour talking to Easy Life all about the brilliant new record, and then we're going to be putting forward some of your questions about the album for Murray to answer. So if there is anything that you'd like to know about the new record, whether it's about a certain song, maybe the artwork, or a particular lyric that you've enjoyed, drop us a question in the comment section below, and I'm going to be asking a selection of them in the second half of our chat. And on top of that, someone who gets their question answered today will be randomly selected to win a pair of Bowers and Wilkins PX7 over-ear noise-cancelling headphones, which I've got on right now, and the album sounds great in them. So obviously, get your questions to us. I have the new record as well with me in my hand. If you haven't already got yourself a copy, we thoroughly recommend you order one from your local record store once our chat with Easy Life is over. So let's get straight into it, into this week's Record Club, and say a big hello to Murray from Easy Life. How are we doing?
Hey, Jess. Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing really good. Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. What people can't see is that whilst I was talking about your album, you were literally laughing at me. I hope you're right.
No, you're just doing such a great intro. I mean, I was rooting for you. I thought it was brilliant. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, obviously, congrats on the album. But I have to say, it dropped like a couple of weeks ago now. Happy belated birthday as well.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much. It's Libra season. You know, it
was Libra season because it's obviously Scorpio season now. So
yeah, boo.
But yeah, you went away
thanks.
for your birthday, didn't you? So you.
Well, I tried to. Everything went to all my plans, like all the best made plans. They've all gone to shit. I mean, I was planning on like finishing like the album campaign and the tour and everything, and then going away. And like I was telling you just before we came on, like everyone went away except me. So I'm like the last remaining. Actually, no, it's not true. Jordan and Cass are both in England as well, but they're still planning on going. But I'm here holding it down for Easy Life.
Okay, well, you know what? Either way, I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that you're at the Record Club. We actually start things each week on the Record Club with a question from one of the many amazing independent record stores that we have across the UK. And this think Action Records in Preston.
Yes.
Think you know them, don't you?
Yeah, we know those guys. Yeah, they're wicked. We did a little record, an in-store tour, like an in-store show for them. Yeah.
Okay, so they're asking, or they've said, having hosted album launch shows for both of your albums here in Preston, which were fantastic, we would love to know what it's like going from playing these kinds of gigs to then playing the Pyramid stage at Glastonbury.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's a good question. It's a weird one. It's because playing the intimate like in-store tour thing, we've done 3 in-store tours now, and like I don't know what the capacity was in Preston, but they're usually like 100 or 200 people, and usually like they're pretty like die hard fans, you know. So it's an interesting gig because you kind of like all the sort of smoke and mirrors that you get on like a big show like Pyramid stage, like you don't get any of that. So you literally just stood, you sometimes not even on a stage, sometimes just like a couple of like the HMVs or whatever are just like on the floor. So you just stood there and you're like, it's very, very exposing, which is really interesting, you know. It's a cool way to put the songs across because it's very raw, and it's like you obviously do it just when the album comes out. So it's like, here I am pretty much naked with no like lighting or anything, and like these are the songs, and you guys are like the hardcore audience. It's like a really nice connection you get. It's very strange. It's completely different because I feel like it's actually harder to play the little shows in terms of like the craft, or like to try and put on a good show in a little like venue like that, it's actually really hard. In comparison to playing Pyramid is actually much easier because you just kind of, it's just the same shit that you've done before, you know? It's like, it's, you know.
I feel like I went to an in-store recently and they kept all the lights on as well, like, and it was kind of
That's
underground, but they kept
savage.
all the lights, and I was like, this is really weird for like everyone here, and I was stood right near the front too, and there was no stage, so obviously you're like there, and you're like, do I dance? Do I have to like? Do you find it awkward when
Yeah.
you're looking at them? They're not sure whether to dance or like to be still or sing the words.
Mate, I don't know. I don't know whether to dance or to be still or where to look, mate. It's terrible. And obviously, I'm like hella short. So if there's no stage, I'm just like staring up at people like, oh my God, like this is terrifying. Yeah, it is a weird one, but you know, it takes like a couple songs to just get into it. But it's a nice environment to put the music across. Like it does, it lends itself to sort of a much more, I don't know. And then we like meet the fans, so it's like really intimate and it's really cute. I like it. I like doing it, but it's like it is it's harder than playing Pyramid because that shit's just like just go through the motions, you know.
Yeah, you know, pyramid stage class, so that's like super easy. Anyone could do that, but
I'm not trying to flex. I'm not trying to flex. I just that it's easier than playing the little ones.
I feel
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, I sound like a twat. Yeah, you know, Pyramid. It's
You know,
nothing. It's nothing.
easy, took that one off, been there, done that.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
ups, Action Records. Thank you so much for your question. Right, okay, maybe in another life. The second album, the notoriously difficult second album. How was it for you? Because I feel like it's come relatively quickly after the first album. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like they say, it's a notoriously difficult second album. How was it for you?
I know. I was aware of like the old wives' tale of the difficult second album, but no, man, it was so easy. That was the easiest music I've ever written. Like it just happened. I wasn't really intending to write the album for a while because there was this weird bit where like when you actually finish the album, like you got the masters and you got the artwork and everything's ready, like you give that to your label and it takes at least like 3 or 4 months, in some cases even longer, because there was like the, you know, about all the problem with like pressing vinyl and the
Mm.
delay and shit. So like you actually submit the album and then you don't release it for like 6 months, and you might be like campaigning it or doing all those like videos and releasing singles, blah blah blah. But when we did our first one, there was like this weird period where we'd finished the album and we didn't really have much to do because it was like COVID and everything. So I just kept writing songs, and I pretty much, it wasn't an accident, you know, to write the album, but I didn't think I'd make the album so quickly. I wasn't planning to. I was just like making songs because I was pretty bored, and ended up making the album. And I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't even tell the band, really, to be honest. I didn't tell them for a long time. And I certainly didn't tell like management or label or anything. I really, partly because I just wanted to do it by myself and like make the album I've always wanted to make, but also just because I didn't have anything to tell. I wasn't even sure I was doing it until like it was pretty much done. I was like, oh shit, I've written the
Oh, by the
album.
way, the next one's done. How do you
Yeah,
send it through to
yeah, and
them?
like
Do you send it through to like the boys, and are they just pure demos from your end, or do you send, yeah, how do you send it through to them?
it's different with every song, to be honest. Like I make if I'm yeah, sometimes I'm really excited and I've just made a demo, then I'll just send it to them. I'm not always that like, I'm rarely that protective over the music. Like historically, I'll just make a demo and send it straight to our WhatsApp group. Like I share it obviously with them. Um, but this one, it wasn't like that. I'd actually waited sometimes like till I'd like finish the production and everything and be like, this is the song, like what do you think? And sure, if they had comments then we could make changes, but I don't know, I felt confident, to be honest. I felt like making this album was like the first time I had the confidence of the fact that I'd already made an album. You know, the first time you do anything's quite scary and it's
Mm.
exciting as well, but it can be quite daunting. So making the first album, I was literally like, you know, like a fish out of water. I had no idea like what was going on. But then when I came to the second one, I was like, actually, like we handled that okay, and like, you know, the process now. So I kind of had like a confidence where I was like, I'm just gonna make the songs I want to make and like make the artwork and make the videos I want to make. And I kind of know how to do that now, and that's pretty much what I did. So
I feel like
I feel
that's
good about it. Like, yeah, go on.
like the more, so obviously like listen to the album for the first time, and you kind of notice it feels a bit more raw. Like I feel like you're singing quite openly about some struggles and some things, but you've always been quite open about that. And then you literally in the record you've got like this lyric book, and when I was reading it I was like, some of this is quite like, you know, deep and stuff. Does it feel more raw? Like you said that it's easier to get out, but it like, are you okay with feeling more vulnerable like that?
Yeah. Man, I'm glad you noticed. I think, like you said, I've always been as honest as possible in my lyrics, but I do think on this particular album it was like the rawest I've ever been, like lyrically. It was just, it felt good. I think, you know, we spent, you'll get it, like you spend like all your like your growing up time, like since you're a kid, like, and then you leave school and then you go to uni or you go into a job, or you constantly like trying to do things, aren't you? And like it wasn't really until COVID happened and we'd put out our first album that I had this time to reflect on like the journey. And up until then I just sort of carried on, like buried my head in the sand and just like running, trying to like, you know, ride this wave that we're on. And then obviously it stopped, and it was only then that I looked back at the journey and been like, how did we get here? And like, is this where you want to be? Not just with music, you know, just in life in general. And like, actually spent that time like trying to heal like certain parts of me that were left broken, you know, just like the wounded child that's in all of us, you know, that we never address because like we're just too busy. And yeah, I think I sort of went back and like did a deep dive into like everything that had like fucked with me thus far, and tried in a way to heal myself through like being open about it. And I was reading loads of interesting like which is funny actually, I never ever read any self-help books, just because I read a lot of like novels, and like it's nice to kind of escape and, you know, get out of your head for those hours that you're reading. And I think a self-help book can be quite like make you even more introvert. But anyway, I was reading loads of stuff about vulnerability, and I just realized like you can get so much like empowerment from being vulnerable. And I was trying to embrace that and just allowing myself to say whatever I want to say. And the studio has always been like a safe place to make and say things, you know. I still don't feel comfortable enough with myself to like have these, to say the things that I say in the music to like my friends in the pub, or like I wouldn't like necessarily want to talk about the way I'm feeling, or like in mental health, or like any of those things, which is something I'm working on. But I think through the music it helps a lot, you know.
Well, I feel like music is almost like a form of communication, almost like they say you can like
Definitely.
convey a feeling in how like how music sounds. Like obviously sound is so powerful when it comes to that, and you can't always,
Mm,
especially if it's a confusing feeling or maybe something that you haven't worked out completely yourself, or um
yeah.
yeah, I feel like it is a method of communication. And obviously if you're quite a naturally introverted person, getting it out there in the form of music or like under that guise is quite powerful and cathartic as well.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I mean, there's so many things. There was a couple songs on here where like I'd send them to the band, and like they would then message me like, or call me and be like, "Hey, are you okay? Like I've noticed that you've written this song about obviously this situation that we're all going through." Like, and then the conversation's open, you know? So sometimes the music can, yeah, you can say so much within the music. And like you said, it is a great form of communication. And I'd often use it to like reach out to my friends, you know, the guys in the band, or like people at the label who I consider my friends too, and I'll send them the songs. And uh yeah, I've often had like calls back. Actually, the guy who mixed the record, Lee Smith, who's like one of my closest friends, I remember sending him Memory Loss, which is like what perhaps one of the saddest songs on the album. And
Mm.
he called me straight away and was like, dude, like I love this song, but like, do you want to chat? And we chatted, and that conversation wouldn't have happened had I not have allowed myself to open up in the music. So I think it's really healthy. It makes me feel great, It makes me feel great. We all have these things inside of us that we want to let go, and it's just a case of like finding a avenue in which to release them. Luckily, I've got music, so yeah, I'm blessed really.
And you mentioned earlier on, obviously, I can see some questions are coming in. We'll get to people's questions in a moment. Obviously, if you have one, pop them in the comments and we'll get to you. So you've mentioned like the artwork and the videos and stuff kind of going along with the music, and how you were quite creatively in control of that. And obviously, I've got like the inside part of yeah.
Yes.
I'm literally like obsessed with all the like little photos that you've got, like the sport one up here. I don't know if you think so.
It's so good.
It's just hilarious because all of you guys are so in sync with. And whose dog is that, or is that not a?
That's
just a random dog.
Sam's dog. Yeah,
Is
that
it?
is Angus, who like retired racing greyhounds.
So how did you pick between the two? That's quite unfair.
Oh, I know. Favoritism. It's terrible. It's terrible. They were both there as well, but Angus just photographed them,
and like everything from
models.
Yeah, no, that is true. Need choice. So everything from like even like the front of the record, and then obviously you've got like the back, and it's an actual. I believe this is actual like a model house that you have sort of somewhere as well, right?
Yeah, well, we actually raffled it off to one of our fans, so it's in someone's house right now. Yeah, we like built it physically. I know it's such a like terrible present because he told me that he still live with his mum and dad. I'm like, why are you gonna put this house? It's pretty big. It's like it's an inconvenience to have in the house for sure. But anyway.
That is funny. And the whole idea, I think I've read, I don't know if I've read it on here or somewhere else, that maybe in another life is sort of your vision of like if you'd have done things differently, maybe you'd have this sort of perfect life. But what is that perfect life?
I don't know, and I think it's funny, isn't it? Because we're always like trying to chase that like happiness, aren't we? Like in everything we do, and it's actually so difficult to get there. You never get there, do you? Like if you want to buy something, you like save up and you buy it and you're like, oh, that feels good for about
more stuff.
a minute, So I mean it's never ending. It's not just about buying stuff or like, learning something about yourself or doing something in particular. Like it's never ending. So I think with the artwork we were like, let's create like this perfect idea of like this make-believe like fantasy universe, and then when you turn it around you realize actually that it's all just fake and it's all just like held up by these wooden structures that it was all a lie. It was all a lie.
Wow.
Like, it's kind of deep, but
I felt really great, and then now here we are.
Yeah, no, but it's true, innit? And like we wanted to sort of, we had this with our first record as well, where you flipped it round and it was like a continuation on the back, and like we just took it that one step further, and like you spin it round and you realize that it's all just, and it was for real. Like it was all hung up in this studio. So the artist is a guy called Will Child, who did our Dear Miss Holloway. He's a claymation designer, and then our art director is a guy called Charlie Drinkwater. So the three of us put together this universe in Will's studio. So, and then it was like this doll's house, and it was all lit up, clouds, and everything's miniature, man. It's so cute. It was so cute, and it was amazing actually. As a band, we went down to do a little shoot there, and it was amazing to actually see it in real life. And then when you go on the other side, it's just all held up by like string and like glue all tacked together. It's amazing.
Look, I have loads of questions, but I know that people have been getting theirs in, so we're going to get to it. Benjamin Wallace on Easy Life's Facebook page said, "Hey Jess, hey Murray, big fan of the new album. With the song Basement and little hints like the 127 bus, how much would you say Leicester and your life growing up there has influenced this album?"
Wow, nice. Good question, Ben. Yeah, I think I think loads. Like I said previously, like I went so far back into the past and like tried to give that little wounded child a hug with this record. So like I think a lot of it is about growing up. Basement, in fact, is about Leicester. There's a club in Leicester called the Basement. That as a band we used to go there all the time when we first started, and loads of us were living like in Leicester at the time. All of us were living in Leicester at the time, and we used to just go out. And Basement used to do like these funk soul, like it would stay open till like 6 a.m. It's changed hands since, but my point being is that that is a testament to the fact that Leicester like influenced the album massively. Like we literally wrote a song about that club we used to go to. And yeah, the buses that I catch, I don't know. Yeah, I think home will always like influence what I do. The idea of home is a really like cozy, lovely feeling. So yeah, Leicester will always play like a big part in our narrative for sure.
And Esme Burns on the Record Club's YouTube page says, on the new song Fortune Cookie, what does a fortune cookie represent and why did you choose it?
Whoa, that's deep. I don't know. I think with the Fortune Cookie was like is a really personal song, and it was like actually a song about the band. And it was one of those moments where like I'd written this song that said so much stuff that I couldn't actually say in words. And I was trying to articulate like my feelings towards like certain members of the group. So I'd like sent it to them, and we ended up having like healing so much, like so many riffs, and like it was a really special song. It's probably the most special song for us as a band on the whole album. And the idea of a fortune cookie was just like, I don't know what the metaphor was really. I guess like it has like these messages in of that can like hopefully give you some like reassurance or like some guidance. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to do with the song. So the whole thing kind of felt like giving a gift of a fortune cookie to the band and hoping they would like feel like renewed or like restored or like they're on the right path.
God, for someone who says they're not very good at opening up, then at least these songs are like making like these sort of healing. Maybe you need to like go into other people's groups and like write a little song and be like, this is it, and everyone needs to like
Yeah,
discuss.
it's kind of like group therapy. Like it
Yeah.
really is. Like we spend so much time on the road together. Like stuff like does there are like we do rut and bash heads a lot. So sometimes songs are important.
For sure. Connor Bonsall on the Record Club's Facebook page says, if Life's a Beach has a water theme, maybe In Another Life has a land theme, will the third album have an air theme?
Wow. Um, Probably not, but maybe. I've not thought about it to be honest. Yeah, that's a good point though. Yeah,
I
or maybe a
mean,
fire theme, just
fire,
non-stop fire.
fire's, yeah, it seems less practical. Um, I feel like, yeah, this Dear Miss Holloway kind of the video gave me like busted, that's what I go to school for vibes. So maybe the next
Yes.
one could be like air hostess. Sorry, outing myself as a not no, not sorry, outing
Ah,
myself as a massive positive fan. And
yes, I
positive,
like it.
of course. Freya Peel on the Record Cards page says, "What inspired the title of the album?"
Nice. So I'd actually written the first song that I wrote for the album with my friends John Luca and Alessandro and Rob. The four of us, we were hanging out in London and we wrote Dear Miss Holloway. And that was like the cornerstone of the album, like thematically and sonically, because we just like stumbled across this amazing like new sound that we then like basically made a whole album that sounded like that. But the chorus of that was maybe in another life we can try roll the dice and get it right. And I thought I was living with this song in my headphones for so many weeks afterwards, like buzzing. I was like, I love this song so much. And then I figured like that was gonna be the concept of the whole album. Like maybe in another life, what could have been had we done things differently. And it's really important for me to have the title really early on in the process. So then like the art direction and all the songs can like be filtered through the like a common theme. So when I discovered that, after that, all the songs came like pretty instantly afterwards. But yeah, the title's actually from the chorus of that song.
When did you get Kevin Abstract jumping on that?
Yeah, so I was in LA in January this year, I think. Yeah, this year. And I'd sort of finished the album pretty much. And we were like hanging out. He was playing me his like latest project, and I was playing him. We were like going back to back, and he heard Dear Miss Holloway. And yeah, he was like, "This is sick," and wrote a little thing for it. And I actually had a second verse, and I was like, delete, 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 delete. Come, please, Kevin, be my guest. And like, yeah, he did his thing in literally like record breaking time. He did it in like 10 or 20 minutes. It was crazy. He's genius.
I remember you telling me about that, and I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna keep it under wraps. I'll look after that secret for you."
Yeah, literally. I'd had too many beers, and I told you my secret. And like, you're a good friend, so thanks for not
You were literally like,
leaking it.
I've got a sick feature, and then I was like, "Who is it?" And you're like, "No, no, no, I can't tell you." And then literally, like within the same breath, like told me straight after.
I know. I can't keep a secret. I'm terrible. No one should trust me with their secrets.
Amazing. Well, look, I swear I could literally talk to you about this the whole time. I do actually have one more question. I know we need to wrap,
Yeah.
but ever since I heard Sunday, like way back when, there's a line
Yes.
in there which talks about the energy of people using lowercase letters. Why is every single track on this in uppercase, please? Why are you shouting on this?
Do you know what? It was. I'd love to say it was a deep artistic decision, but since like when we wrote Sunday, which was what, like 2018, like that was a different era, you know, like not many people were typing in lowercase at the time. So I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about. Fast forward to like now, everyone's doing it. Everything's in lowercase, like everything, just like anything and everything. I was
And
like,
no
you know what?
punctuation either.
Yeah. And I'm fuming. So I'm like, right, I'm putting everything's in uppercase. It was just to differentiate it, you know, on Spotify or whatever. When you listen to it, it's just like a different era. And like, I don't know what we're doing next. Maybe just like the Queen's English, like properly written out, you know, with capital at the start and like nice use of punctuation.
And everyone's going to be like, "That's so different," and it's actually how you're meant to do it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like oh man, I might even change my phone back to lowercase. I don't know how, like, because I change it all the time from. I have an argument with myself as to what's the proper way to do it. I still don't know. I don't know.
Insight
But
into
all
Murray's
uppercase is
mind.
mental. I
Yeah.
don't type in all uppercase. That would be insane.
That would be too much. All right, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much, Murray. We love you.
Yes,
Thank you so much for
legend.
joining us. Make sure
Thanks so
to
much for
treat
listening.
yourself, guys, at home or maybe in another life. Now this episode's over. Pick one up from your local record store. Support your local. Also, actually, before we go, very excited to announce that the winner of this week's Bowers and Wilkins Wireless Headphones Prize is, drum roll, Benjamin Wallace on Easy Life's Facebook page. So you can slide into the Record Club's DMs, get those headphones to you. Thank you everyone for joining us and sending in your questions. Our next guest is going to be announced on the Record Club's socials very soon, so make sure you're following us. And all previous episodes are available to watch back on our YouTube channel. Murray, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jess. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.